And if we are to go by the last time Tom Moody was in charge when Sri Lanka toured England, we are looking bright. We are looking very bright.
Avishka has been good in England.
Lots of positives, Sudarshana, before we take on the English side. But now it's up to the team to go there and get some wins under their belt.
Hello and warm welcome to ThePapare.com Around the Wickets segment. And today, joining with us are two gentlemen from ThePapare.com, Damith Weerasinghe and also Sharmeegan Sridheran. Welcome to the chat, boys.
Thanks, Sudarshana.
Hi, Sudarshana.
Well, now as cricket fans in Sri Lanka, we are embarking on a very interesting month, and could say very interesting 3 months to come because Sri Lankan cricket team is going to be absolutely busy. But first up is the assignment in England, where the Sri Lanka team will be playing three T20Is and also three one-day internationals. Damit, a squad of 24 had been named with Sri Lanka already in England. They are undergoing the quarantine period. What are your expectations for come the three T20Is first up?
Hi, Sudarshana. Yes, first of all, I think why we have selected 24 players is because now with the COVID situation, you won't get any net bowlers for any touring teams, Sudarshana. Whenever a team now goes abroad, they'll be taking a large number of players in their touring squad. So, 24 players, a good squad, I should say, because there's a lot of variety in it. We have about 10 fast bowlers in the squad. We have about five spinners and a good set of batsmen also. So good mix in the squad. Sudarshana, plenty of young players have also been given an opportunity, likes of Charita Asalanka, Dhananjay Lakshan, Ishan Jairatne. He's a very seasoned player, but Charita Asalanka and Dhananjay Lakshan will be the two players if they get an opportunity. We will be looking closely on Sudarshan because I think Charita Asalanka he would have been really upset that despite being the Sri Lankan under-19 captain, some of the other players who were in the squad went and represented Sri Lanka, likes of Avishka Fernando, Lahiru Kumara, Asita Fernando, Kamilu Mendis, Vanidu Hasalanga. They all have played for Sri Lanka before him. He's the one who hasn't played for Sri Lanka yet. So it'll be very interesting if he gets an opportunity. Dhananjay Lakshan, we all know how well he performed in that LPL and also in that T20 tournament in Abu Dhabi. So lots of positives, Sudarshana, before we take on the English side. But now it's up to the team to go there and get some wins under their belt.
Well, very interesting point that you made there, Amit. The inclusion of these three players who haven't been in who haven't been part of a Sri Lankan squad before. Now, Megan, talking about these three players, Dhananjay Lakshan and Charita Asalanka are very young players, whereas Ishan Jairatne is one of those seasoned campaigners who we will be able to expect a little more temperament from. So, which one of these three players do you fancy making their debut first?
We've seen Ishan Jairatne touring with Sri Lanka squad for a while now, and so I think my money is on Ishan Jairatne because he's the seasoned campaigner out of the three. But we know those other two are also very exciting cricketers. But given why I am banking on Ishan Jairatne for this is that his T20 record is exceptional, and given the fact that we are going to play T20 cricket first, and none of those cricketers have played enough T20 in England. So I think everyone or more or less are like playing first or the second, except for the three Kusal Pereira, Kusal Mendes, and Danushka Gunatilaka, who have played I think couple of games each. None of them have played T20 cricket in England. So I think Ishan Jairatne being a seasoned campaigner in first class scene, the domestic scene in Sri Lanka, and I've heard that Mickey is very impressed with his T20 stats. So he will be a person to watch for T20 cricket. So I think he'll be the one who is making the debut first.
Also, another very interesting aspect that's going to come into play when it comes to the T20 tournament is the fact that the first two T20s will be played back to back. So, first one will be played on the 23rd of June, followed by the second game, which is on the 24th of June. So, rest and making sure that the players are properly rested and they get that adequate rest is going to be critical. Damit, do you see a massive change when it comes to these two games? Will there be players who will be swapped in and out? Because especially when it comes to the fast bowlers, rest is very very important.
I don't see many changes happening, Sudarshana, but I think it's a little too early to call on whether they'll make some changes or not, because Sri Lanka team, they need to go, they need to undergo a 3 day room quarantine. After that, only they'll be able to train at the Old Trafford at Lancashire, so in Manchester rather. So after that, they'll be training for 8 days. Within that 8 days, they'll be playing two intra-squad games, Sudarshana, because of the large contingent of 24 players. They can easily play intra-squad games. So during that 8 days of training only, they'll play a couple of games, and that will give a opportunity for the management to make a decision on a playing 11, Sudarshana. Now we have Umesh Kalwitharna, who will be the selector on tour. We have Tom Moody, who is the director of cricket, also as a consultant coach, Mickey Yath, of course. So plenty of very seasoned, experienced campaigners. They are with the team management, Sudarshan. So I'm sure they'll know very best on how to go about this couple of games. Yes, there won't be much changes for the first few games, but we'll wait and see how the two intra-squad games pan out.
Well, David mentioned about Tom Moody being the director of cricket and also the consultant coach of the Sri Lankan team for this English tour. And if we are to go by the last time Tom Moody was in charge when Sri Lanka toured England, we are looking bright. We are looking very bright. Very happy memories of Tom Moody being in charge of Sri Lanka cricket. When Sri Lanka went to England and whitewashed them, I think that would have been the last time England got whitewashed by a team in their own soil.
2006, I think.
Yes,
Yes,
back in
Sudarshan.
2006. And talking about Sri Lanka in England, we've been fairly good in England because Sri Lanka has played four matches, four T20 matches that is, and winning three and losing only one. So Sri Lanka will be hoping. I know England is a different beast altogether now. What is your realistic expectation when it comes to these three T20 ice week? And what are you looking at? Of course, we want Sri Lanka to win everything, but realistically, what is the result that you're looking at?
uh, Looking at these stats, Sudarshana, we should also consider that these things basically go out of the window when we see what are we looking at present. Because England is a whole new team, and also Sri Lanka is too. We have no one who was there during those four matches. I'm sure only about three players. So and that is also way back in 2016. I think one of them last played in England. So what we are looking at is actually a kind of a situation like a um, I think England is a beast in their own soil, and these kids are almost like these boys who are in England who have not had enough exposure in England. They don't even have anyone to ask, Sudarshan. The kind of the thing is they don't have the youngsters. They don't have anyone to talk about the situation or the conditions there, and I think that is the reason why we have consultant coach like Tom Moody and Ramesh Kalvitar not working with the team, because that is one reason. Because most played in that conditions. But we are definitely looking at a steep task. But we'll hope for the best that we'll come out victorious. And that's a good thing that we play T20 first in England, because that will allow these boys to settle in a little bit and to the conditions when the most important ODI tournament comes in, because we are playing for the Super League here.
Very interesting point you brought forward, the fact that Sri Lanka lacks experienced players who have experience in England, who knows the conditions well. But very interesting fact here, Damit. Nuwan Pradeep, the fast bowler of Sri Lanka, whenever Sri Lanka goes to England, he puts his hand up. He has 16 ODI wickets in England and he has 16 ODI wickets in Sri Lanka. So Nuwan Pradeep may not be part of the T20I outfit, but there'll be a lot that the youngsters can pick from his brain, being one of those fast bowlers who has seen success in England, isn't it?
Yes, of course, Sudarshana, and we also cannot forget the likes of Isru Udana. If we remember correctly, he played in that 2009 World T20, also played in England, and of course, we know Dushmantha Chamira. He's the on-form fast bowler. So Isru Udana and Nuwan Pradeep, I think they'll form a very good setup in that. White ball arena, Sudarshana, because now Nuwan Pradeep, as we know, he only plays limited overs cricket, but he has a wealth of experience. Yes, he had his injury issues, but I think with the likes of these three combining with Dhananjay Lakshan, Ishan Jayaratne, Bindra Fernando, I think we'll be very grateful. I think when it comes to the fast bowlers, because our tanks are very full.
Absolutely, that is the hope because when it comes to the bowling, the fast bowlers are going to absolutely love the conditions that they will face in England. But talking about the batting a little, Sharmeegan, I think one of the youngsters who really did shine bright in the last World Cup was Avishka Fernando, who got to his maiden century in England. So he'll have happy memories of the land, and we as fans will definitely want him to replicate that form.
Definitely. Avishka has been good in England, where whenever he has traveled, he's played. We remember when we were traveling for the World Cup, much was said about his last under 19 tour for to England. They went in 2016, I think, when he was representing Sri Lanka under 19, and he scored around 300 runs, close to 300 runs, and so and also during the World Cup, also he was averaging over 50. So I think. He'll be good in that conditions, and he likes the ball coming onto his bat, specifically when there is space and there is bounce, and he likes that kind of conditions, so that is why he's having such a great average in fast and bouncy conditions away from Sri Lanka. So he'll love this conditions, and he'll love the situations in England, but the question is, where is he gonna fit in? If he is not opening, where is he gonna play in the playing 11? So that if that is sorted, if he is getting a go, I think Avishka Fernando would be in my starting 11 when we are playing in England.
All right, so the Sri Lankan team, like we mentioned, will play three T20Is. First one being on the 23rd, and the third one being on the 26th of June, and then they go on to the ODIs, the one day internationals. The first one being played on the 29th June, and the third being completed on 4th July. Now, as soon as the third ODI is completed, Sri Lanka will fly back to Sri Lanka and they will have slight time to breathe, complete their quarantine, straight away going to a massive, massive series. India is going to be in Sri Lanka by the time they'll land in Sri Lanka on the 28th, and Sri Lanka will take on India. Damit, India did announce their squad yesterday. It's well, some would say it's not the Indian team, but you look at that squad, that's an Indian team that's going to come and fight.
Yes, Sudarshan, it will be a completely different atmosphere also for the Sri Lankan team, because in England they'll be playing in front of crowds, but when they come back to Sri Lanka in familiar conditions, they won't be having any crowds for the Indian series. Indian team, yes, over the past few years, now we realize why they dominate world cricket is because of the depth they have in their squads and in their cricketing system, Sudarshana. That is, I think, I firmly believe that is because of the IPL. Most of these players have performed really well in IPL cricket. That's why some of the likes of Chetan Sakaria, um, Devdutt Padikkal, Nitish Rana. They have gotten maiden call-ups for the team, for the Indian team. But if you can't forget that about 15 to 16 players named in that 20 member squad, they have played for India in any some have played in T20 cricket, some have played in ODI cricket. So their depth is massive. We all know why they are sending a second string team is because they are test team is in England. They'll be preparing for the five-match test series against England, which starts in August. But now next week they have to play New Zealand in the World Test Championship final. Nevertheless, they have about I think about 10 first choice players in that contingent in England who will automatically come out as limited overs players. But for some of these players, Sudarshana, they'll be it's like a selection trial for them, I think, because especially in the T20 format, if they perform well, they'll be on that squad for the World Cup later this year. So a lot to play for these Indian players, because if they stay in India, they won't have any cricket whatsoever. So it's good that they have this tour up and running. For Sri Lanka cricket point of view, yes, there's 30 points on offer for the ICC Super League, and then obviously we need that practice in terms of T20 cricket. 12 limited overs games, Sudarshan. That's a good number of games within played within I think about 45 days.
All right. Looking at this squad, I know Megan, you're quite a bit of a admirer when it comes to these Indian cricketers. Some of them. Now, looking at this squad, Surya Kumar Yadav is one of those players who has made his name when it comes to the T20s, like Damith said. But he'll be looking to cement his place come the 50-over format. And are there any other players that you can point out saying these players will be looking to establish themselves in the 50-over format for India?
Well, so that's just the point I was thinking while Damit was talking. So this squad, even though we know how strong they are, how good they are, we've seen them in IPL cricket, we've seen how good these players are. But players like Surya Kumar Yadav, Manish Pandey, Sanju Samson, and Yuzvendra Chahal, Prithvi Shaw, all these players, they are under pressure that they have to come back into that team. So that is something that Sri Lanka could use when they are going into the series, because especially that we need wins in this kind of tournaments. And when we are getting kind of a pass on on we have big series against India, England, and New Zealand in the tournament. I think it's something that we should use, and we should capitalize. Definitely, people like Devdutt Padikkal, Chetan Sakaria, Navdeep Saini, and even someone like Krunal Pandya or Krishnappa Gautam, they don't have pressure on them. This is their main first is just to impress, and they have time. But someone like Manish Pandey, Sanju Samson, Prithvi Shaw, though he has time, he has proved and he's done a lot. So now when he's sitting back, he'll have that pressure to get back into the team. But Surya Kumar Yadav, Manish Pandey, Sanju Samson, they've been in that mix, and they have been performing, they have been tapping the door and not getting a chance. And that is not because they are not good, but it's because the competitive. So when they get an opportunity like this, they'll be under pressure to perform. They will be certainly under immense pressure to cement their team. And I think that is some aspect that Sri Lanka should exploit.
Right, very, very interesting cricketing action lined up for the national cricket team. Damit, Megan, thank you very much for joining our chat. It was a great pleasure speaking with you boys, and hope to see you next week.
Thank you, Sudarshan, for having us.
Yes, Darshana.
All right, folks. So, like we spoke, very interesting cricketing action lined up for Sri Lanka, and we invite you to make sure to visit the ThePapare.com cricket page, where we will be bringing you all the developments. There are many developments happening in the international cricketing front every day, every hour, and we at the ThePapare.com are dedicated to bringing you all the action and keep you updated and to let you know everything that happens about cricket, Sri Lanka. So do join us next week as well on the Around the Wickets segment. Until that time, I'm Sudarshan Pedi signing off for ThePapare.com.
For premium content and exclusive member benefits, subscribe to ThePapare.com today.